First up, the compulsory dance section of the ice dance, and it's Christopher Dean and Jayne Torvill with the Paso Doble. Your commentator, Alan Weeks.
This, the first of 3 compulsory dances. Remember that in the compulsory dances, the steps are laid down in the ice dance manual. All the couples have to skate the steps exactly as they're laid down. It's the same music. They are allowed a certain amount of license to the way in which they perform it, but the steps must be right. So the judges have the chance of seeing all the couples doing exactly the same thing and judging one against the other doing exactly the same steps and to the same time, the same rhythm, the same tempo. And I suppose there's about 4,000 people in the Civic Centre for this compulsory dance. Don't think I've seen quite as many at a compulsory dance. There were 3 sequences of that Paso Doble, and now there's 1 set of marks out of a maximum 6. And there are a tremendous set of marks. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5.9s, and the others 4 5.8. So those are the highest set of marks so far. They're setting the standard for the prospective medalists in this World Championship.
Affection for the British couple has produced this new badge, I Love Torvill and Dean, and they're to be found on the lapels of the famous, the Protopopovs, the Russian pair who in their day dominated skating.
When yesterday I was asked, how do you like them? I said, you know, I don't like them. We love them.
Second compulsory dance, the Westminster Waltz. Invented by Eric van der Leyden and Eva Keats and first performed in London at the Westminster Ice Rink in 1938. Parts of the rink as they move around are quite spontaneous. The audience really love them. It must be very, very satisfying to any skaters to hear such warmth in a country other than their own. It'll be very interesting to see. Eileen Anderson, the British team manager, on the far side there. And they have got 1, 2, 3 sixes. They scored 3 sixes in the Olympic Winter Games. And they've gone down as far as 5.8 from the Canadian judge. But 3 sixes, that equals the sixes they got in the Olympics. Silence falls on the Civic Centre in expectancy of something special in this rumba. Even that start gets a ripple of applause. Sequences of the dance. And have a look at that little dip at the end of the ring. There. That gets a ripple of applause every time. Nobody else does it. Nobody gets applause like that at the end of a compulsory, except Jayne, Torvill and Christopher Dean. It was beautiful to watch.
Marks for Jayne, Torvill and Christopher Dean.
And they look anxiously up at their board. The third and their final compulsory dance. They got 3 sixes in the Westminster Waltz.
5 points.
And they've got sixes again. 1, 2, 3, 4 sixes. That is absolutely fantastic. The rest of them are 5.9s, so 4 sixes. No doubt who's won the compulsory dances. Jayne, Torvill and Christopher Dean. And that is certainly the most sixes ever scored in a compulsory dance section of any championship.
The compulsory dance section out of the way, and it's Torvill and Dean with a dominating lead as usual from the Russian pairing of Bestemianova and Bukin, and the Americans Blumberg and Seibert third.
Bestemianova and Bukin. Remember, the original set pattern dance is not a free dance. It's a dance which they compose themselves to the rhythm which is set by the International Skating Union. And the rhythm, as in the Olympic Games, the Paso Doble is for the entire season. They compose the steps as long as they conform to the steps in the International Skating Union regulations. 3 repetitions of the dance. In this case, it's about 3 circuits of the rink. And so that's the end of the first sequence for Bestemianova and Bukin, who were lying in second place after the compulsory dances. And this dance counts for 20% of the total. Tanya Tarasova, coach of Bestemianova and Bukin, who teaches him at the Trud Club in Moscow. And as always, very expressive, very clever. And oh, a mistake there. And that could cost them, in fact, a silver medal, I would think. A very, very positive error. Well, Bestemianova and Bukin, that is one of the few occasions I've ever seen her make a mistake. And that round of applause, I think, quite sympathetic, because their performance was very good, very expressive, as always. The skating in time to the music, the steps good, but there was that one error. There are 2 sets of marks, remember, for composition and for presentation. Neat steps. That's typical Bestemianova. Tatiana Tarasova closer to us. When I said that could cost them a silver, remember these marks are 20%. But they're coming up now, and they're 5.8, 5.7, and that is from the British judge, Pamela Davis, and there are 3 5.6s, Japan, Canada, and Switzerland, and those are the judges at this end of the rink where they made the error. So that was for composition. We'll see how it affects the artistic marks. They were second in the original set pattern dance in the Olympic Games.
5.7, 5.8.
And these perhaps not as high as they might be. 5 7s and 5 8s, but a 5.5 from the Japanese judge number 7, Pamela Davis, giving 5.8. But now they're going to have to wait and see what Blumberg and Seibert do when they come on, because they're going to be really pressing them.
5.8, 5.7.
Judy Blumberg and Michael Seibert now have an excellent chance of moving back into second place again. They were in second place after 2 of the compulsory dances, and they went back with a slip in their own dance. Now we've seen Bestemianova and Bukin make a mistake, so Blumberg and Seibert, who are also trained by a British trainer, Bobby Thompson, have a chance of going into second place. Bobby Thompson there, their British trainer, nodding approvingly. Judy and Michael skating very well, neat. The program is nicely put together. And another great reception. Judy Blumberg and Michael Seibert. They skated as well as I've seen them skate. It was a nice program, it really was. No mistakes. Everything was there. We just have to wait now and see whether the marks will put them above the Soviet couple, Bestemianova and Bukin. Very neat moves. Well, the marks they're looking for, Bestemianova and Bukin got 5 5.8s, 1 5.7, and 3 5.6s. That was the composition. In the second set, they got 5 5.8s, 3 5.7s, and 1 5.5. Now, here's the mark.
5.7.
We've got 1, 2, 3 5.8s, but we have
5.6.
2 5.6s. So that looks as though it's very close. In fact, perhaps slightly better because Bestemianova and Bukin has 3 5.6s. They've only got 2 5.6s there. The others 5.7s and 5.8s. It's going to be very, very close to this second place after the original set pattern. Bobby Thompson looking a little bit tense as he waits for this second set of marks to come up. Now for presentation. Bestemianova and Bukin got 5.8s. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5.8s. 1, 2, 3. They are slightly better, so it looks as though Blumberg and Seibert might well have slipped in to second place after the OSP.
In the Paso Doble, sometimes I find that I want to be more expressive in my face, but I shouldn't be for the whole idea of the routine. Really, I try to be as unnoticeable as possible.
I enjoy doing the Paso. It's good fun. It's my piece, as they say.
He's the star of that show.
The caption says it all. The reception from the crowd says it all. The original set pattern dance to Spanish Caprice by Rimsky-Korsakov. And that is only the end of the first sequence. Once again, the audience is on its feet. Jayne is on the ice, but look at that crowd in the background. Everyone is standing. The commentators in the boxes are standing and applauding. That was absolutely brilliant. So much better, in fact, than in the Olympic Games. Cheers, cheers all around. British spectators, the Union Jacks waving. But that was a brilliant, brilliant performance by Torvill and Dean. That is Otto Jelinek, a former world champion, who was applauding there. And no wonder those Union Jacks are going. That was absolutely superb.
Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean. Les notes pour la composition. 5.9.
So in the Olympic Games, they got 1/6 in the composition mark, and here it's 5.9 right across the board. No doubt the best mark so far in this competition. 5.9 right across, and Betty Callaway, whose birthday it was yesterday, looking very satisfied. Now for the second set for presentation, and remember the presentation is where they got 360 in the Olympic Games. A great hush. Oh my goodness! It's right across the board! They've done it again! 9/60 for presentation. They are no doubt the greatest ice dancers of all time. That is just for the original set, pattern dance, 9/60 for presentation. It is absolutely superb. Eileen Anderson on the right, Betty Callaway on the left, and the British fans happy, but the entire audience is cheering and applauding those marks, and Torvill and Dean, Jayne and Chris are happy.
Boy, gee, I guess that's like scoring every point in the grand final, knocking up a double century in both innings, winning the Australian Open in straight sets, and then hitting 18 holes in one, Robyn. That is just unbelievable. You're saying to me while you were watching that you enjoy that even more than the Boléro sequence.
Yes, I really love that number. I think that's their best.
You were right too about Dean. I mean, you can't take your eyes off that fellow, even more so than Jayne in that sequence. And
yes,
he not only
right.
does the, I mean, he also does other parts of he's not just the co-star.
No, he's the creative force behind their numbers. He choreographs them all, and he thinks of all these wonderful new, exciting and different moves that they do that nobody else has done before.
Bit unusual for a policeman. All my copper mates are going to come and thump me after that, but if you didn't know, Christopher Dean is a former policeman, and policemen notoriously have big plates of meat or feet. I must say he moves his with a little bit more distinction than some of them. Well, that completes 2 of the 3 ice dancing disciplines, but before World Championships, the free section of the ice dancing. As ever, Torvill and Dean have been magnificent, continually pushing out the barriers of their chosen sport with grace and artistry.
A really interesting struggle for the silver medal is about to occur between the Russians and the Americans. Both want that silver medal, both have the ability, and it's just going to depend on what happens on the night.
And taking the ice first, the Russian pairing of Bestemianova and Bukin.
Olympic silver medalists, European silver medalists last year. Unlucky perhaps to skate in the shadow of Torvill and Dean, but superb performers. As always, intense. And don't they deserve it? A lovely reception. A program, many moods. Some comic little steps in it. And of course, the fast-stepping Natalia. Well, you had everything in that program. And of course, they will be setting the pace as far as the medals are concerned. There's the fast-stepping Miss Bestemianova.
For technical merits, ending technique.
So, off they come.
5.8.
These are the marks that are going to be settling the medal situation. There's a 5.7 in the middle there from the United States. Mary Louise Wright, but all the rest of them are 5.8. Right, now, let's see how the artistic impression marks look. Here they come. There's 1, 2, 5.9s, 5.8s down to 5.7 from Switzerland. Those are the marks that are setting the standard for the medals.
The United States of America, Judy Blumberg and Uncle Seibert.
The United States champions, last year's bronze medalists, and just missed a medal in the Olympic Games. Finished 4th. Lying in 3rd position at the moment and skating for the silver medal. a long, long time for them to stop. A very, very unusual move. The donut position, I think they call it. Well, one always holds your breath when Blumberg and Seibert are on the ice, because there are times when you think, my gosh, are they going to make it without a little threat? On this occasion they did. One held one's breath a couple of times, but there was nothing obvious. Now, the judges themselves will decide whether they or Bestemianova and Bukin. There were some very difficult moves. Very difficult moves indeed. Getting out of that one was difficult, for instance. A very deep breath as everyone waits really on the edge of their seats to find out whether they're going to get through into the silver medal position. At one stage they overtook Bestemianova and Bukin during the compulsory dances, then went back again just in the last dance. Here it comes.
Technical errors of an
8 eights for Bestemianova and Bukin, and 1-7. Everyone, but everyone holding their breath. There is one 5.9 in there from Italy, but it goes down to 5.6. Overall, of course, those marks are not as good. But they are certainly good enough to keep them in their third position. They're better than Timova and Ponomarenko. The artistic impression mark for Bestemianova and Bukin, 2 5.9s and 6 5.8. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5.8. Now, I would say that that is the bronze medal for Blumberg and Seibert, with Bestemianova and Bukin at this moment in the second place.
Coverage even goes back to the days when they first took part in the World Championship, also in Ottawa in 1978, when they finished a rather nervous 11th.
When we first came in 1978 for our first Worlds, it was exciting. We were sort of in awe of the whole thing, and we just, I think we enjoyed it in one sense, and frightening in another.
No, it was also new. I mean, we'd only done the European Championships, and then this was the World Championships. The fact that it was in Canada and so far away from home as well was just...
It seems to have turned sort of full circle, and 6 years later we're back here finishing.
Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean.
And that is the welcome they have got onto the ice before they have skated a step. Ravel's Boléro, Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean. What can one say? You only have to look, you only have to listen, and you know that you have seen the best in the world. That audience is absolutely marvelous. So too were Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean. In front of me, the television commentators of Canada are standing and applauding. You can see them in the photograph there. Betty Calloway stands, watches, and waits. But the flowers are coming onto the ice from every direction. The applause doesn't diminish. I don't think I can ever remember such a sustained length of applause as they are receiving on this tremendous occasion. There's the sign, I love you, Chris and Jayne, but there are 8,000 people in here who at this moment are echoing those words. Everywhere you look, nobody has sat down. Betty Calloway herself is moved by the occasion. And now, the mark. Remember, they've already got 17 sixes in this championship. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 sixes there. Now, if they were to get 9 sixes in the second set of marks, that would be a new record. Everyone is keeping their fingers crossed. Yes! It happened! 9 sixes, 4 in the first set. That is 13 sixes, the most sixes ever scored by any skaters in competition. What a way to go out on top of the world, the greatest ice dancers the world has ever known. For the 4th year in a row, with an unprecedented number of 6 marks, Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean, the world ice dance champions of 1984. Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean received their gold medals from the chairman of the technical committee of the International Skating Union, Elmer Teartak. It's the 4th year in a row the British champions have stood on top of the rostrum. And in this year, 1984, it's their last. They finished their amateur careers in a style befitting the world's greatest ice skaters. In the years ahead, I'm sure they'll continue to enthrall audiences all over the world.
Jayne and Chris, a performance that brought another standing ovation and has left one of you at least almost speechless.
I've got a slight tickle in my throat at the moment.
You couldn't have asked for a better finish than that, Chris.
No, it was 6 years ago we started here, and now we've finished here. We sort of come around in a full circle, and well, no, we couldn't ask any more than that. We really enjoyed the whole week. Although it's been a long week, the audience have made it so enjoyable. The people here and the whole atmosphere has been really, really good.
I know you don't keep records, but you may be aware that 13 sixes for one discipline is an all-time record.
Is it?
That's nice.
It's nice to finish on a record as well.
I think a total of 29 altogether. What's the feeling?
Still very high at the moment, I think.
It's kind of lots of emotions all thrown into one. It's sort of a relief and happiness that we finished, and sadness that we're ending sort of one career, but an excitement of going into another. And we're on a high at the moment, obviously, from the performance that we've just done.
And when can Nottingham expect to welcome home its own?
As soon as possible.
As soon as we can, back to Nottingham, to England, and see the people. We're looking forward to that.
You'll take a bit of time before you're going to tell us what you're going to do, I'm sure.
Well, we don't know ourselves.
We're not sure it's yet, so.
It's something that now this is over that we've got to sit down and plan ourselves, but we haven't concentrated on it yet at all, because this has been our most important year and what we've been working for.
Is it a question, Chris, of having so many offers you're not quite sure where to go?
Well, there are a lot, but we didn't want to bother ourselves with what was coming up. We just wanted to concentrate on this competition.
Well, as Harry Carpenter, the commentator, said there, Robyn, they've certainly lifted their game somewhat since 1978. A very nervous beginning in the World Championships, but there they were with a record 13 sixes, 13 perfect scores for their final discipline. An emotionally charged moment for Christopher Dean and Jayne Torvill, their final appearance at the World Championships. And what a way to go, with the sentiment of Robert Preston's "I Won't Send Roses."
I won't send roses or hold the door. I won't remember which dress you wore. My heart is too much in control. The lack of romance in my soul will turn you gray, kid. So stay away, kid. Forget my shoulder when you're in need. Forgetting birthdays is guaranteed. And should I love you, you would be the last to know. I won't send roses, and roses soon you so. My pace is frantic, my temper's cross, with words romantic, I'm at a loss. I'd be the first one to agree that I'm preoccupied with me, and it's inbred, kid. So keep your head, kid. In me you'll find things like guts and nerve, but not the kind thing that you deserve. And so while there's a fighting chance, just turn and go. I won't send roses, and roses suit you so.
Oh, Robyn, too much. Hey, what a finale. That was at least a 4 Kleenex closer, that one.
Yeah, what a fitting finale for such a beautiful couple. A lot of emotion in that.
Thank you for being with us tonight, Robyn Burley. Thank you for being with us on Nine's Wide World of Sports for the 1984 World Ice Skating Championships. And before you go, Robyn, do you think we can expect to see Torvill and Dean out here in Australia soon?
We might be having them out in a little while, but I do know that the Edgeley Corporation is bringing the Russian Olympic and World team to play the entertainment centres at the beginning of May. Should be something to see. So
in a matter of a few weeks we'll be able to see Natalia, Bestemianova and Mr. Bukin.
Yes.
Excellent. What a magnificent way for that magnificent pair, Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean, to say goodbye to their amateur status. They're turning professional in a couple of weeks' time. I think you'll see them in Australia soon. From Robyn Burley and Mike Gibson, good night.
a happy end to the fairy tale at some stage of Messrs. Torvill and Dean?
Well, we don't know.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.